Just coming in before we start off with the actual episode, it was mentioned last week. We actually didn't mention it in the actual episode, which is why I'm doing it now, that we were supposed to have a guest on this episode. Unfortunately, she's sick, so she couldn't be a part of the episode for this episode. So that's why she is not a part of it. It's just me and Mikel. Meant to bring that up in the episode, but forgot. So just telling you now, but let's hop into the episode.
What's up, everyone? This is the Next Tape Podcast, episode 21 with Mikel and
Tanyka,
where we have conversations on different topics. So this is the 4th episode of our Black History Month series. So if you haven't heard the last 3 episodes, the first one based on inventors.
Mm-hmm.
The second one based on civil rights leaders, and the third one based on death that affect the civil rights
Black Lives
and
Matter.
there you go. So check them out if you haven't. Now, if we didn't do a great job, like I said last time, you can always do your research. There's Google. You can search Black History Month, anything that's Black history. You can go to your local library, read a book, or do your research going to, in America, Barnes and Noble. In Canada, we have chapters. So you can buy a book about, a civil rights leader or inventor or a moment in Black history. And there's
Yeah.
your
Even on Facebook right now, people have Facebook. I know Facebook is too old for some people.
mhm,
But there's been a lot of different things popping up. Just
right.
highlighting Black history and um even that,
Mhm,
is great.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome to get a lot of accessible, like, information
Mhm.
from different types of I would say different types of uh
Sources.
resources. There we go. There's the word. There's the word. I kind of struggled there. My bad, guys. So yeah, different types of resources. Um and yeah, just
Okay.
check them out. Just check them out. So what are we talking about today, Tanyka?
Well, today we're going to make it a little more fun because last week was really tough. And we're going to be discussing Black people and arts.
Mm,
So that kind of is, music, acting, dancing, even
mm-hmm,
or actual art, even though I'm not talking about anything like artsy.
mm-hmm.
Um, so we'll get to it when we get to it. You'll see.
Okay. All right. She'll be fun, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like to dabble in, different types of art form, such
Yeah.
as, music, uh, you know, photography or, art itself, like, how
Mm-hmm.
painters and etc. So uh yeah. So
So basically, how I'm doing the first half of things is kind of just highlighting a lot of great Black artists. And we can kind of, discuss anything if you want to discuss anything. And then in the second half of my stuff is going to be very heavily focused on kind of a couple different things in particular for one particular artist. We'll get to it. But let's start off with Gregory Hines. Gregory Hines is probably, if you don't know, one of the greatest dancers of all time. He's incredible. Well, was incredible. He has passed away, but he definitely influenced a lot of people, like the person I'm thinking of right now, which I think I do talk about in a little bit. There's a particular dancer who helped with Happy Feet, for example. When I think of great Black dancers, I think of these two people. They're incredible. So Gregory Hines, if you don't know, like I said, he was born February 14th, 1946. He's a Valentine's Day baby.
nice.
Yeah. And he died on August 9th, 2003.
Mm-hmm.
He was an American dancer, actor. I believe he was I know I've seen him in a movie before. I didn't want to say The Preacher's Wife, but I might be wrong. But anyway, he's a choreographer and he's a singer.
Right.
He is one of the most celebrated tap dancers of all time. Now, here's what I'm going to say. If you've never seen him dance before, just type in Gregory Hines in YouTube. He's incredible. He's incredible. So as an actor, go ahead.
So was Michael Jackson?
Oh, you're challenging me.
Yeah, was Michael Jackson ever inspired by this guy? I'm just saying.
No.
Really?
I don't think he ever talked about, because Michael Jackson's not a tap dancer, right? Gregory Hines is a tap dancer.
Okay. Yeah,
Michael Jackson was more influenced by like James Brown. Yeah, that's kind of his style. What actually I want to stress, and I did make notes of this for later, was I don't know if Gregory Hines was a trained dancer. I'm gonna say he was. Michael Jackson is not a trained dancer. Michael Jackson's dancing style is very different than Gregory Hines.
Okay.
Yeah. So as an actor, he's best known for Wolfen, never heard of it, 1981. The Cotton Club, 1984. White Nights, 1985. Running Scared, 1986. He had his own show called The Gregory Hines Show that only went for a year, 97 to 98. And he also played Ben on Will and Grace. Didn't know he was on Will and Grace.
Interesting.
Yeah, in 1999 to 2000. And he also voiced Big Bill on the Nick Jr. channel, which was an animated children's television show called Little Bill.
Oh yeah, I was like, what? Big Bill?
I never heard of the show either.
Yeah, I heard about Little Bill.
Yeah, it went from 9. I don't think so. I don't think so.
The little black kid that I was wearing like yellow.
Maybe I do. Maybe I have to look at it and see. But that ran from 99 to 2004.
Great show, probably.
Which actually, like, they must have pre-recorded things because he died in 2003. But yeah, if he was 57 years old when he died, so he was very young. And here's an interesting thing that I found very interesting. You ready for this?
What?
As a Canadian, if you want to visit Gregory Hines, he is at a cemetery in Oakville, Ontario.
Wow.
I'm blown away. I didn't know he was buried here in Canada.
Interesting.
So I won't say where it is, just, to respect his privacy, but...
Do you know why the reason they chose to bury him in...
He must have been living
Canada?
here. I would have he's from here, but I never thought he was Canadian. It's like, I'm only doing quick little facts here, but yeah, he must have either lived here or he's from here. That's the only thing that I can think of. But again,
wait, So wait, I just sent you a picture of Little Bill, so you just can take a look. So that's
still
who
does
he is.
not ring a bell.
Interesting. Okay.
It's like a black Caillou.
Don't disrespect Little Bill like that. Come on.
I'm sorry, guys.
Come on.
I'm just saying he looks like him.
Come on.
Yeah, no, Caillou's the worst. Don't even get me started.
That's a different topic for another day. Caillou's
God.
One of the worst characters.
My God.
Spoiled brat. Spoiled
So
brat.
spoiled. So freaking spoiled.
Yeah,
I'm gonna find out where Gregory Hines is from. Because I found that very interesting.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
I mean, like, even like Prince, for example, he didn't just solely live here. I think at one point he did, but he had a house here in Toronto, but he's still not buried here. He's buried. Weird. Yeah, he's from New York.
Huh.
So he must have been living here.
Does he have family?
I don't
Do you
know.
believe? No.
That might be really tough to figure out, but yeah, that's so weird.
I feel like most New Yorkers do have family somewhere in Canada.
Probably, yeah. I mean, even like, look at me. I have family in New York.
Yeah. Same.
I mean, they're
Same
not.
thing with me.
They're not from New York, but they live in New York. My family's from Jamaica. But yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's weird.
Yeah.
Interesting. But anyways, that's Gregory Hines. Now, I did mention that there's another dancer that I think definitely was influenced by Gregory Hines, and his name is Savion Glover. I don't know if anyone knows who Savion Glover is. Again, if you've never seen him dance, please put that into YouTube. Savion, Savion Glover. He's incredible as well. So if you watch the movie Happy Feet and you see like the penguins dancing,
Love Happy Feet, by the way. I
that
forgot
is
to say that
Savion.
earlier.
That is Savion Glover. They literally like made him dance and whatever like the technology they use.
Wow.
That is him. He's incredible. Anyway.
Great movie, by the way.
It is a great movie.
Is it the first and the second one? There's two movies, right?
There's two of them, yeah.
They didn't make a third one. It's a complete chapter.
No, that's I don't think they will. No, I don't think they will. Because here's the other thing too. Like, I think Robin Williams was in there too in that movie.
Right.
They're not going to.
Okay.
Because he was a pretty big character, and I can't imagine. Like, there's no reason for them to do it again. It's
true.
Two's enough.
Okay. Carry on. Go ahead.
So, Savion Glover was born November 19th, 1973. And he is an American tap dancer, actor, and choreographer. I don't know exactly what he acted in, but nonetheless, I guess maybe they would consider Happy Feet, maybe? I don't know. But like I said, he's really good. I do have pictures of everybody, by the way, that I'm going to talk about.
Right.
So we'll post those. But I mean, again, like, it doesn't give it justice if you don't watch these people dance. It's just, anyway.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. So like, if you want to search these guys, just search on YouTube and enjoy the tap dancing.
They're really good
dancing. So
yeah, and maybe I'm biased because I've actually done tap dancing before, but I think it's incredible. Like, what they do, I never. What they do is just, it's incredible. I don't know how anyone makes their feet move like that. It's nuts. So, next person that I'm going to talk about, Etta James. If you know Etta James, she sings. Are you serious?
Etta James.
Okay, we're going to get to it. We're going to. Hopefully I can refresh your memory here.
Yeah, refresh my memory.
I will. So James Setta, I think it's James Setta Hawkins, that's her full name. Born January 25th, 1938. Died January 20th, 2012. Was known as Etta James. And she was an American singer who performed in various genres, including gospel, blues, jazz, R&B, rock and roll, and soul. Starting her career in 1954, she gained fame with hits such as The Wallflower, At Last. Does that ring a bell to you? No?
No, I need to hear this. I need to hear it.
I am not singing it.
Sing it.
Oh, God,
Sing it
no.
for the people out there.
No.
I'm sure somebody's saying, sing
At
it.
last,
Sing it.
my love has come along. No? My lonely day. Okay, I can't.
No.
Tell mama about it. No? Oh God, you suck. So tell mama, something's got a hold on me and I'd rather go blind. She faced a number of personal problems, including heroin addiction. I think, unfortunately, a lot of the people I'm talking about probably dealt with some sort of drug issue. Severe physical abuse. It's horrible. Yeah. And she was also incarcerated. I never knew that. Before she made a musical comeback in the late 1980s with the album 7 Year Itch. So she dealt with a lot of stuff. It kind of, I mean, except for the incarceration aspect of it, kind of reminds me a lot of Tina Turner, because she went through a lot of similar things that she was with Ike. But, I mean, yeah. May she rest in peace, too. So I will have photos for anyone who's like Mikel and doesn't know who Etta James is. Moving on to Aretha Franklin. Please tell me you know who she is.
Yes, I do.
Okay. Aretha Louise Franklin, born March 25th, 1942, died August 16th, 2018, was an American singer, songwriter, and pianist. Referred to as the Queen of Soul, Rolling Stone twice named her as the greatest singer of all time. With global 100%. With global sales of over 75 million records, Franklin is one of the world's best-selling music artists. Now again, she has a lot of hits. She's Respect is the one that's popping in my head right now. She's incredible. May she also rest.
Inspired a lot of artists.
Oh yeah.
Inspired a lot of artists from Beyonce to Whitney Houston, you say?
I would say, yeah, to an
Whitney
extent,
Houston.
yeah.
Absolutely. Jennifer Hudson, I would say.
Yeah. That's the thing. We're talking about divas here in the great sense of it. And a lot of these people influenced others. That's just how it goes. These people would not, like, these people of today's in like music or whatever wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the pioneers who paved the way for them.
Right.
You know,
100%.
So, yeah. So if you are interested in learning a little more about Aretha Franklin, there is the movie with Jennifer Hudson, which I have not yet seen. But there is also a History Channel mini-series that was incredible. I think it was 7 parts. It was really incredible, very in-depth. And it goes right to when she was a kid to when she was older. Now, there's a lot of things that happened to her as a child that I did not know. Like, she had a child very young. When I mean young, I mean like a child herself. Because someone took advantage of her. But it was, again, different times.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, she seemed to have a really great family. She was very close with her father. It was really a really good thing, which is why I haven't watched the movie, because I will be comparing it to that History Channel series. But it was really good. So if you want to learn more, those are your resources. If you want to do that, or just do your research on her, for sure. Because she's incredible. She's incredible.
Yes, she is.
Moving on to another one. Of course, I can't do a thing and not talk about Prince. About Prince.
Nice.
Prince Rogers Nelson, born June 7th, 1958. Him and Michael Jackson were the same age, guys. I didn't know that. A couple months apart. And he died April 21st, 2016. A day I'll never forget. He was an American singer, songwriter, musician, record producer, dancer, and actor. The recipient of numerous awards and nominations, he is widely regarded as one of the greatest musicians of his generation. He was known for his flamboyant persona, his wide vocal range, which included a far-reaching falsetto. Listen, if you listen to any song, you've heard it. And high-pitched screams. I'm thinking Kiss right now. And his skill as a multi-instrumentalist, often preferring to play all or most of the instruments on his recordings. His music incorporated a wide variety of styles, including funk, R&B, rock, new wave, soul, synth pop, pop, jazz, blues, and hip hop. Prince produced his albums himself, pioneering the Minneapolis sound. So he's done it all. And I mean, for him to even gotten to that point, I mean, this is why, like, he did the work to try to make sure he owned his own music.
Yeah.
Had, you know, the artistic freedom, because, like, this is why he changed his name. Like, everyone jokes, oh, Prince was a symbol. But Prince was actually a symbol because he was trying to make a point. Like, that's why he did it.
That's why he wouldn't do collaborations with artists who didn't have their own
exactly their rights to
masters
their
or
rights to their masters, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So, he didn't.
Which is actually like very few artists
at the time.
At that time, and even today, have the rights to their own music. Very few. So, and like, we'll talk a little bit about Michael Jackson and how he got rights to his masters. It's actually hilarious. I'm like, whoa. But I don't know if he ever would have otherwise. I'm not sure. But we'll talk about that. But this is why Prince did that, was so that he could have that. But also, Prince was just an incredible artist altogether. He not only wrote and sang his own music, he also wrote other people's music. For example, Manic Monday by I think it's the Bangles. That was written by Prince.
Right.
Nothing Compares by the late great Sinead O'Connor, which I know is maybe controversial for some people, me saying great, but she was an incredible singer. She had a lot of struggles in life, but she was an incredible singer nonetheless. He wrote that song. There's actually, if you search hard enough, you can get, you can hear him singing the song too, and it's incredible. Like, he's incredible. To me, he can do it. I love him. That's why I had to include him in here. So, I think the last thing before Mikel does his thing is I'm going to talk a little Motown.
Is that the record label? Or that
is the record label, Motown.
Okay.
I mean, I was going to do, I know we talked about doing other things too. Run DMC, but I'll take a break and I'll jump into them and then I can do the last half. So let's do Motown. It's a little more information with Motown just because it's a huge record label. So Motown is an American record label owned by the Universal Music Group, currently owned by them. It was founded by Berry Gordy Jr. and it was first called Tamla Records, and it was established on January 12, 1959. And then it incorporated as Motown Records Corporation on April 14th, 1960. So its name is kind of like, I'm going to mess this word up, but a portmanteau or whatever, of motor and town, and has become a nickname for Detroit because that's where Motown is, where the label was originally headquartered. And the home is, I call it the home because it looks like a house, but the record label is still there. Like, you can walk up to it. I don't know if you can go inside, but you can walk right up to it if you want to. It's still there. I'll have pictures of it on social, but so Motown played an important role in the racial integration of popular music as an African-American owned label that achieved crossover success. In the 1960s, Motown and its subsidiary labels, including Motown Records, the brand used outside the US, so I guess they used Tamla as outside US, were the most of the Motown sound, a style of soul music with a mainstream pop appeal. Motown was the most successful soul music label with a net worth of $61 million. During the 1960s, Motown achieved 79 records in the top 10 of the Billboard Hot 100 between 1960 and 1969. So following the events of the Detroit riots of 1967, which I don't know a lot about. I know what happened, but I don't know a lot about it. And the loss of key songwriting / production team, which was Holland, Dozier Holland, I've heard of them, that year, over pay disputes, Gordy moved Motown to Los Angeles. Didn't know he did that. Motown expanded into film and television production. That I didn't know. If you've watched Dreamgirls, you know a little bit about this.
Yeah.
So Motown spent much of the 2000s, which I didn't even know they were still around in the 2000s, headquartered in New York City as part of the UMG subsidiaries, Universal Motown and Universal Motown Republic Group. From 2011 to 2014, it was part of the Island Def Jam Music Group. Didn't know this either. Like, this is like, when I read this, I thought, oh, I'm only going to be reading something up until like the 80s. I was not expecting this.
You didn't expect Def Jam to be part of
No, not at all. Not at all. I thought he got rid of it. Like, because a lot of the artists of Motown, and like, for example, I'm thinking like Lionel Richie, even Michael Jackson, all of these people were branching away from Motown and had branched, especially like Michael Jackson and the Jacksons. They branched away from Motown long before. And I'll kind of talk about it a little bit when we kind of get to that. But I mean, I might talk about it a little bit here just because we are talking Motown now, but I'll wait till the end. There was a lot of issues. So they were losing a lot of their artists. And then you even add, like, you know, rest of soul, Marvin Gaye had passed away. People were branching away from Motown. So I'm surprised that Motown was lasting as long as it was. So, anyway, so in 2014, UMG announced that the dissolution of Island Def Jam, and Motown relocated back to Los Angeles to operate under the Capitol Music Group, now operating out of the Capitol Tower. In 2018, Motown was inducted into Rhythm and Blues Music Hall of Fame, so R&B, in a ceremony held at the Charles H. Wright Museum. In 2021, Motown separated from the Capitol Music Group to become a standalone label once again. What the hell?
Standalone label? What does that mean? Is it independent?
Independent. Like they were before. They were independent back.
Weren't they major? Like in like the 80s?
Of course. But this is why I'm surprised. Well, even before the 80s, like 70s, 60s, 70s. This is why I'm surprised. They're like,
must have rebranded from
as far as I know, like, I don't know anyone. Well, there are artists under the Motown label, but like, I didn't think there's anybody. So, and clearly Berry Gordy himself is not the one still doing this, because I'm pretty sure he's passed away now. So it's someone else. Like, I think he sold it. I don't even know. I'm so confused. I was like, wait, what? So on November 29th, 2022, Ethiopia Habtemariam, sure, I think she's a singer or somebody, announced that she would be stepping down as chairwoman / CEO of Motown. So that's who was in charge up until 2022 of Motown Records, was this person who, I don't know who she is either. So let's just kind of go back a little bit, back to the good old days of Motown. In 1957, Gordy met Smokey Robinson, who at the time was a local 17-year-old singer fronting a vocal harmony group called the Matadors, which I've actually heard of, but that's not what the name, they don't continue with that name. Gordy was interested in the doo-wop style that Robinson sang. In 1958, Gordy recorded the group's song Get a Job, an answer song to, it's called Got a Job, which was an answer song to Get a Job by the Silhouettes. and released it as a single by leasing the record to a larger company outside Detroit called End Records. It was in New York. The practice was common at the time, 100%, for a small-time producer. So it was normal, especially in those days. Got a Job was the first single by Robinson's group, now called The Miracles. Gordy recorded a number of other records by forging a similar arrangement, most significantly with United Artists. So, interesting fact, which I didn't know. Smokey Robinson became the vice president of the company and later named his daughter Tamla and his son Barry as well. So this is Gordy. This was it was him. Several of Gordy's family members, including his father Barry Sr., brothers Robert and George, and sister Esther, were given key roles in the company as well. By the middle of the decade, Glenn and Anna Gordy had joined the label in administrative positions as well. I'm not sure who they are. Family. Gordy's partner at the time and his wife from 1960 to 1964, Raynoma Biles, also played a key role in the early days of Motown. Leading the company's first session group, the Rayber Voices, and overseeing Jobette. I'm not sure who that is either. So let's get into kind of the top people that were a part of this label.
Right.
So from 1961 to 1970 run, Motown had 110 top 10 hits. Their top artists during that period included The Supremes, initially including Diana Ross, because again, if you watch Dreamgirls, they had some stuff going on during their time. The Four Tops, the Jackson 5, and also Stevie Wonder, Marvin Gaye, the Marvelettes, and the Miracles, as mentioned. And we also had the Temptations, the Contours, Edwin Starr, who I've never heard of, Martha and the Vandellas. Again, never heard of them. Spinner.
What about the Funk Brothers? Were they?
Well, they're not mentioned here, but that's true too. The Commodores as well. Commodores were part of Motown. So, I mean, a lot of greats came out of this. It's crazy. So, here's an interesting part too, talking about like the more recent artists. So by 1998, Motown had added stars such as 702, Brian McKnight, Erykah Badu. What is happening? Again, I'm talking the 90s. I thought they were gone. But these are the people who, like, some of the big people that they had on there, which is crazy. And Michael McDonald, that was the name I was trying to figure out the other day, who had like this black sounding to his voice, but he's a white guy. Michael McDonald is incredible. Anyways, and let's see if anyone remembers this girl, India Arie. Do you remember her?
Who?
India Arie.
No. I don't know who that is.
She was pretty big for a minute. India Arie, black girl. If you don't remember, just search India Arie. I'm sure like her one hit wonders will come up. But
that's
yeah. But I was shocked to hear the name. I'm like, oh, it's a name I hadn't heard in a long time. But she was also signed to Motown. That's basically it that I have for Motown. But like the other parts that I wanted to add, like, so the reason there's a lot of contention with some of the artists with Motown is because, again, if you watch Dreamgirls, you know this. With Motown, Berry Gordy had the rights to this music, obviously, but also had the right to the name of the group or the artist or whoever. He owned your name. So, for example, Jackson 5, as a great example of this, they wanted to split away from Motown, which also made things very interesting because Jermaine Jackson actually married Berry Gordy's daughter. And once they split, they could no longer use Jackson 5. Obviously, Jermaine did not go with them because he stayed back with Motown to try and start his solo career, which didn't go well, mind you. So they split. I don't know which record label they ended up going to, but that's why they changed their name to the Jacksons, because they could not use Jackson 5 because Motown owned it.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like the Jacksons is a lot better than the Jackson 5.
Yeah, but like there's 5. Oh, I don't really care. It was 5 of them. It made sense, even though there's 6 brothers in total.
Right.
Only 5 of them in the group at one time. So I don't have an issue with the name Jackson 5 versus the Jacksons. It's more for me, the differences between the two is their sound. Their sound was very different, a part of the Jacksons versus the Jackson 5. So yeah, they had different sounds in those two different things. And obviously Jermaine was replaced by Randy Jackson, not Randy Jackson from Idol. 2 different people. But the sounds are just different.
I feel like this is a situation where the artists never read their contract back in the day.
Well, here's what I'm gonna say.
The lawyers just like,
Right.
you know, it was the label's lawyers just like, you know, shoving the contract in their face. They tell them to sign this, sign that, sign this, sign this, sign this.
And I imagine this was a part of the fine print, right? So, and here's the other thing too. Let's remember, in particular with the Jackson 5, they were kids. You know, they were most of them were under the age of 18. I think all of them were under the age of 18. We don't live much. Maybe some were a little older or whatever. I don't know. But for example, when they signed Motown, Michael would have been like 10, 11.
Yeah.
Right? So we're going from that point. And they're not reading the contracts. They can't even sign a contract. They're kids.
Yeah.
The person in charge of signing the contract was their manager. And their manager was their father.
Wow.
And I don't want to get started with Joe Jackson because we are supposed to be highlighting Black greatness. Not to shit on Joe Jackson. But he was so hungry for the fame for his kids, but ultimately for himself, that he didn't really do things, I'm sure, the right way. Joe Jackson gave us what we had with Jackson 5, the Jacksons, Mikel, Janet, all of it. But he was not a great man.
Yep.
But I don't want to talk ill of the dead. So.
Okay, so unlike, you know, Tanyka, I don't have an extensive background in music. Like, I only got into music during the late 90s, so like I would say 96. My first introduction to music, to be honest with you guys, was the Backstreet Boys. First introduction to music was the Backstreet Boys. S Club 7.
There are things we could talk about with Backstreet Boys too, but we'll save that for another day.
Yeah. So yeah, S Club 7.
So the same things I was into.
Yeah, I was into those. Groups, and then and then Nelly, because I heard Hot in Here. Basically, I heard that.
He was doing music before that, though.
Yeah, and then also Jaru. Jaru was one. Why? And then
We all went through a Ja Rule stage.
yeah,
And if you didn't, you're
yeah.
lying to yourself.
And then from Jaru, I heard 50. The whole entire beef and every single etc. And then from there now.
Oh yeah, they did have beef.
From 50 to Kendrick to J. Cole to Lloyd Banks to etc. I'm mostly from 98 to basically I would say right now. So basically mostly hip hop, a little bit of instrumental jazz, lo-fi. So over the years, yeah, I did my research, watch a little contests award shows such as the BET Hip Hop Awards, the Grammys, etc. Did my research on a lot more artists like beforehand, so I know who some of the artists that Tanyka's talking about, Aretha Franklin, Jennifer Hudson,
Shaka
what
Khan.
No.
Shaka Khan? Oh no.
No.
Oh no. We're gonna no.
You guys gotta help me out here.
You realize that one of Whitney Houston's songs was Shaka Khan's song, right? You realize that Kanye West sampled a Shaka Khan song in one of his, right?
Possibly. I just had to listen to
the Fire
the songs.
Sorry, oh my god. I can't remember the song that he did. I'm pretty sure there was a song that he did after he had the major car accident.
Right.
I wish I could remember the name of the song because it's a good song.
Mm-hmm.
But he sampled Through the Fire. I think that's the name of the song, Shaka Khan song.
Right.
I'm blown away right now.
Yeah, like I said, you have more extensive
Patti LaBelle
music. I heard of her, but not too much. Like that's what I said. You have more of an extensive background in music than I do. I only got into music in the end of the.
You realize I'm younger than you. It's not so much that I'm the kid that back in the day when my grandparents would play like CHFI or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They would have on the weekends. They would have the oldies, and they would play like 50s, 60s, 70s.
Right.
That's
my
that's
dad,
that's what the good music is.
All he played was reggae.
Your dad?
That's all.
So did my mom. Come on now.
Yeah, he played reggae. I didn't know who the artist is.
But do you even know the reggae artists?
Some, but not a lot. He didn't really tell me a lot of the artists. He just played the songs in the car, and that's basically it. So like I said,
and we're talking the old school reggae artists, like Sanchez and Luciano, like the old school ones.
Yes, old school ones.
Okay.
I can't tell you who the names.
Bears Hammond. Come on now. We're going to educate you.
Beanie Man.
Okay, I'll give you Beanie Man. But I mean...
Bob Marley reggae, right? Too?
Did you really have to ask me if Bob Marley is a reggae too? You're Jamaican. Do better.
I'm playing with you. Yeah, Bob Marley's reggae.
Lord of mercy.
And that's like... Wait, hold on. Is it Vice Cartel?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's.
But he's not new. He's not the old school type of reggae though.
Mm-hmm.
He's more new school.
Well,
you can tell the difference between new school and old school reggae.
True. Yeah. The new school used more. I feel like the new school used more auto-tune with the.
That's reggae. Not what I mean. That's not what I mean at all. I mean, I think some artists do, but that's not what I mean at all. The difference you can tell between reggae, like old school reggae and new school reggae, is how much they talk about women's body parts and actually talk about sex and all that, like in explicit still.
Sorry for going like way off topic with Black History Month, guys.
Well, it's still Black people.
And I know, but but isn't that been a thing for a while? Like,
oh yes, but that's how you can tell the difference between new and old. Like I would say the early 2000s, you could still get some good regular feel, regular sounding R&B, R&B reggae.
Right.
Once you hit like late aughts, you're screwed. You're gonna have the Alkaline and the Vibe Cartel, and yeah, it's
Okay, I see.
and that's not for me. I didn't grow up on that.
Okay. Yeah, see, I only know like three artists in reggae because, like I said, my dad did not tell me who were the artists playing
My
on the
mom
radio.
didn't either. My mom didn't either, but I still did, like, because I would hear a song and be like, oh yeah, I remember the song because my mom would play it, and then that's how I would figure out who they were. Like, I just did that on my own because I love the music.
Batman walking, Batman push up, and something like that.
Yep.
Oh my god. But yeah. So let's rewind a little bit. So basically, yeah, I don't have the extensive history, but I have been listening to this artist like a little bit recently. His name is Miles Davis.
You sound like no one's gonna know who he is.
I mean, everybody knows who Miles Davis is, pretty much. So basically, Grammy Award winner, and he plays the trumpet. You know, if nobody knows what the trumpet is,
I think we know the trumpet is, Mikel. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, there could be somebody that that haven't graduated school, right?
It's a horn, okay? That's
how it sounds, guys. Miles Davis was a major force in the jazz world. Who was Miles Davis, guys? So, instrumental in the development of jazz, Miles Davis is considered one of the top musicians of his era. Born in Illinois in 1926, traveled at age 18 to New York City to pursue music. I wonder if he had a family in Canada too. Yeah.
Well, I think everyone has family in Canada.
Pretty. Yeah. I think that's a thing. Throughout his life, he was at the helm of a changing concept of jazz. Winner of 8, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7.
I think we know how to count.
8 Grammy Awards. And I'm just having fun with the people.
Mm-hmm.
Davis died in 1991 from from respiratory distress in Santa Monica, California.
Respiratory?
Yeah, respiratory.
Okay, respiratory distress. Okay.
Respiratory stress. So early in his life, the son of a dental surgeon and a music teacher, Miles Davis, was born Miles Dewey Davis III on May 26, 1926.
His middle name was Dewey. I'm trying not to laugh. I'm sorry. That's no. That's not even why. I'm laughing because there's a person on Smothered whose nickname is Dewey, and how he said that it's funny. It's sorry. Continue.
It's all good. So, on May 26, 1926, in Alton, Illinois, Davis grew up in a supportive middle-class household. Interesting. Not a lot of, Black people are born in a
middle class. Yeah.
So that's good.
What did his dad do again?
He was a dental surgeon.
That's why. Yes, the money is in dental surgery. That's why.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. He was introduced by his father to the trumpet So the trumpet, guys. Everybody knows what a trumpet is, right?
Yes.
Just do your research on Google.
If you want to know what the trumpet is, play Mama Number 5. Go to the end of the thing, and they'll show you a trumpet. Go,
Okay.
continue.
All right.
I don't know how I pulled that out of my head. He says the trumpet. Okay, continue.
His father introduced him to the trumpet at age 13. Davis quickly developed a talent for playing the trumpet under the private tutor of Eldon Butcher.
Sure.
I'm butchering that.
That's
So
fine.
a friend of his father is directed a music school. Oh my God, the name is there again.
Just say the tutor. Just say the tutor.
Okay, I said the tutor. Playing the trumpet without vibrato, to which was contrary to the common style used by trumpeters, such as Louis Armstrong, and which would come to influence and help develop the Miles Davis style. So I'm guessing Louis Armstrong had influenced Miles Davis style. Do you know who Louis Armstrong is?
You're not serious right now. Of course I know who Louis Armstrong is.
Okay. All right. Cool. Hey, listen. I just told the people that, I don't have an extensive.
Louis Armstrong is an incredible singer, and I actually thought I should have talked about him. So at least you are.
Okay.
And I see skies of green, red roses too.
Oh yeah, I heard that song.
See them blue. Oh, me and you. Yeah.
Good song. Yeah. But yeah. Like I said, I don't have an extensive background. So.
Oh, you need to brush up, man. Not a great black artist. Come on.
I know. There is. Don't get me wrong. There is a lot of big rap.
Oh, a ton. There's a ton. Yeah.
Yeah. So Davis played professionally while in high school. When he was 17 years old, Davis, invited by Dizzy Gillespie,
sure,
and Charlie Parker.
Okay.
Sorry, it's probably Gillespie. Yeah, Dizzy Gillespie and Charlie Parker to join them on stage. When the famed musicians realized they needed a trumpet player to replace a sick bandmate, soon after in 1944, Davis left Illinois for New York City, where he would soon enroll to Juilliard School.
Oh no, Juilliard.
Yeah, Juilliard. Okay. Juilliard, known at the time as the Institute of Musician Art.
It's now the School of just Arts in general, and it's one of the probably hardest schools to get into if you are trying to get into arts. It's one of the most famous schools. Continue.
All right. So basically, if you guys want to do more research on Miles Davis, I should suggest you go on, biograph.com. They have a lot of, artists, celebrities, athletes. I think I said actors already. I don't know if I said actors. That, you can just check their biograph and, do some extensive research on, what they did in their early life and, what they, reasons why they got into, their careers and etc. So, Miles Davis discograph, basically, he did a lot of albums. So basically, he did number of studio albums he did was 60 studio albums.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
yeah. Man was working.
That's a lot of albums.
Yeah. So I can't. Well, I can only name three, but there's more. He also did.
We can't name 60.
Yeah, you can't name all 60. It'll be a long ass episode. Uh, he also did live albums. So live albums is like basically
Yeah.
yeah.
The concert
So he did
albums, yeah.
39 of them. He did that. And then he did compilation albums as well, 46 of them. So this man was working.
Jeez,
work. The three albums he did was Kind of Blue, which people know to this day, In a Silent Way, and On the Corner, and many more. I'm not naming all of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no.
It's 39 and 46 combining with the studio album, live album, and compilation. So also he's been sampled many times with a lot of artists such as MF Doom. You know who he is, hip hop artist. I don't think do you know who MF Doom is, Tanyka?
No, I haven't heard of him.
Okay. Yeah. If people used to watch like the Cartoon Network and Adult Swim, he used to be like this guy in a mask rapping on the commercials. And
Okay.
yeah. So, and then Fat Joe was sampling Miles Davis's music as well. Biggie, that's another one.
Okay.
And Outkast.
Oh.
Yeah. And
okay.
Pretty much more people in the industry has probably sampled Miles Davis. So yeah, that is it for my Miles Davis pick. And I know Tanyka had more, so
yeah.
Like I said, I don't have extensive music in background,
so I got you, I guess. But yeah, so I'm going to. I do realize that I do have an actor, because I thought, we should have an actor in there, but I'm going to do him last and just finish up with the music stuff, and then we'll do the actor at the end. So I don't have a whole lot on Run DMC. I literally just have a little blurb. But Run DMC was an American hip hop group from Hollis, Queens, New York, and they formed in 1983. And the group consisted of Joseph Simmons, Daryl McDaniels, and Jason Mizell. Run DMC is regarded as one of the most influential acts in the history of hip hop culture. Yep. And especially one of the most famous hip hop acts of the 1980s. So, for example, if you think, for me, when I think Run DMC, I think of the collaboration with Aerosmith. And they did Walk This Way. Well, I don't know if it's necessarily Aerosmith, because that's their song. But I think they ended up sampling Walk This Way and had Steven Tyler in the song. It's probably one of my favorites. But that's kind of really all I have on Run DMC. Again, if you want to know a little more, obviously, do the research. But yeah. But then let's get into the more heavy part of what I'm discussing. So just to preface, me and Mikel discussed talking about The Greatest Night in Pop, which is a Netflix documentary. But then I also decided to finally watch the Thriller 40 documentary, which was on Paramount. I believe. I didn't watch it on Paramount, but it's on Paramount, I believe. And so with that, I think it's pretty obvious that I'm going to be talking about Michael Jackson. I'm probably going to be reciting a lot of what I'm about to say by memory, because that's just who I am. But Michael Joseph Jackson was born on August 29th, 1958. He died on June 25th, 2009. Again, I remember the day vividly. So he was an American singer, songwriter, dancer, and philanthropist. Gotta go through that.
Yeah.
He was known as the king of pop, and he is regarded as one of the most significant cultural figures of the 20th century. During his 4-decade career, his contributions to music, dance, and fashion, along with his publicized personal life, which we're not getting into, made him a global figure in popular culture. Jackson influenced artists across many music genres. Through stage and video performances, he popularized complicated street dance moves such as the moonwalk, which he named, as well as the robot, which it's kind of one of those ones that you don't see him doing a lot, but if you've seen him dance, you've most likely seen him do the robot, and it's, again, a person who wasn't a trained dancer. I forget that. I'm like, oh, that's true, he wasn't. And anyways, so this Wikipedia needs to get their facts straight, because it says here he's the 8th child. No, he's not. He is the 7th child of 9.
Somebody probably edited it.
Stop it. The 8th child is Randy Jackson, followed by Janet. I can name them in order. We're not going to do that, though. So he's the 7th child of the Jackson family. Right. And he made his public debut in 1964 with his older brothers, Jackie, Tito, Jermaine, and Marlon, born in that order, as a member of the Jackson 5, later known as the Jacksons, which we've talked about. But that included Randy and did not include Jermaine. Jackson began his solo career in 1971 while at Motown Records. At the chagrin of his father was not happy about the fact that he was going to go solo, because he was threatened by Mikel. He knew he could do better. Come on. Anyways, he became a solo star with his 1979 album, Off the Wall. His music videos, including those for Beat It, which we'll be talking about in roughly, not in depth, but Beat It, Billie Jean, and Thriller from his 1982 album, Thriller. Also credited with breaking racial barriers, because that was his goal. We'll talk about it. His goal, especially with Beat It, was to break the racial barriers, and transforming the medium into an art form and promotional tool. He helped propel the success of MTV, we'll get to it, and continued to innovate with videos for his subsequent albums, Bad, 1987, Dangerous, which was in 91, History, Past, Present, and Future, Book 1. It's not a great album, but it still has greats in it. But anyways, that was 95, and then Invincible in 2001. Thriller became the best-selling album of all time, while Bad was the first album to produce 5 US Billboard Hot 100 #1 singles. Man, this man was doing the damn thing. So, again, I don't really want to talk too much about the things that were happening in his private life. I don't want to get into it, because it doesn't help with what's going on, with what we want to talk about. Right. But let's get to the darkness a little bit in terms of the end of his life a little bit. So in 2009, while he was preparing for a series of comeback concerts, his This Is It tour, which we did get a movie out of that, Jackson died from an overdose of a drug, guys. He died of a drug administered by his personal physician, Conrad Murray, who was convicted in 2011 of involuntary manslaughter. Right. For his involvement in Jackson's death. And again, there is a documentary. I'm not sure how easy you can get access to it, but there is a documentary that aired on Fox. I think it was last year. That had Conrad Murray on it, and kind of talking about his experiences with him, and kind of just really talking about really the last year or so of Michael Jackson's life. If you want to watch it, it's a great watch, but it's not an easy watch. let's just say I was crying through most of it because it's really horrible kind of seeing what he was putting himself through, which we will kind of touch on kind of maybe what started that a little bit. Anyway, his death triggered reactions around the world, creating unprecedented surges of internet traffic and a spike in sales of his music. Jackson's televised memorial service, which I did watch, held at the Staples Center in Los Angeles, was estimated to have been viewed by more than 2.5 billion people. And like I said, I was one of those billion people. So let's get into more fun stuff so that we're not talking about the death here. So kind of the notes that I took for the greatest night in pop, which was talking about We Are the World. So yeah.
There was actually, did you see the clips where
the clips
Michael Jackson were like, you know, impressed by some of the singing?
Was impressed?
Wasn't impressed by some of the singing in the studio.
I have seen that. Let me tell you, sometimes Michael Jackson was a shady bitch. He was great. I can't remember who it was that he kind of side-eyed.
Yeah, it was a female. Artist. She had a high-pitched voice, and Michael Jackson was like...
Watch it been Cyndi Lauper. Cyndi Lauper had an interesting sound to her voice, so it might have been her. I can't remember who it was though, but
And then the country, I think there was a country guy with the smooth voice, but it didn't.
Willie Nelson.
It wasn't. Yeah, it didn't flow well.
Well,
it's pop.
There was one singer. I think I might talk about him. I can't remember if I actually. Bob Dylan. That's who it was. Bob Dylan doesn't have like a traditionally amazing sounding voice. So he didn't flow like everybody else. And he was very self-conscious about actually his voice. So they managed to make it work. And you'll hear Bob Dylan because everyone has like, not everyone, some people have solos. Bob Dylan was one of them. So you'll hear his voice. If you hear the song, he's the one that doesn't sound quite like the others. But it still worked. But I don't know if Michael Jackson was side-eyeing Bob Dylan, because everyone knows Bob Dylan doesn't have a great sounding voice. So it is what it is. But yes, I have seen that, and it's hilarious.
I've seen multiple times. It's just like, it's so funny. And then I go on Twitter, see the comments. We were just like saying that Michael Jackson is side-eyeing.
Oh, 100% he was side-eyeing.
But he doesn't do it, but slightly. You see the,
oh yeah.
You see the slight.
Oh no, listen. The greats like Michael.
Yeah.
Shady bitch. He was shady. He was great. Whitney Houston, shady as hell. She was shady as hell. Oh my. Whitney Houston knew she was the best. Let's put it that way. And she was shady. She literally was like, Paula Abdul's not a great singer. I'm like, damn, Whitney.
That's funny.
But Paula Abdul is not a great singer. She's a better dancer. But anyways. So, greatest night in pop. So, this whole thing was to raise money for USA Africa. Lionel Richie, along with Michael, wrote the song. Stevie Wonder was actually supposed to be a part of the writing of the song, but no one could get in touch with Stevie Wonder. They couldn't get in touch with him. He is in the song. He did show up for the recording of the song, but he never showed up for the writing of it. And they were being kind of laid back about it, doing their own thing. But then when they realized, oh shit, we have a deadline, then they got it done. They couldn't wait for Stevie Wonder to show up. Fun fact though that I want to bring up here, because I want to tell everybody this. I found this out after watching a Janet Jackson documentary a couple of years ago. Fun fact, Stevie Wonder and Michael Jackson, along with the other Jacksons, are cousins. They're related.
Interesting.
Stevie Wonder is on Katherine Jackson, so Michael Jackson's mom. He's on from her side, and he is like a third cousin or something. I'm like, oh, cool. Like, so much great in this family. Which is actually hilarious because Joe Jackson was the musical one. That's how they got into music, because Joe Jackson was actually part of a music group. The father, he was a part of a music group. So I found that very interesting. Anyways, so Harry Belafonte. Please tell me you know who Harry Belafonte is.
No.
Oh my god.
I don't. Like I said, I'm gonna keep saying it.
No.
More of an extensive music background than I do. So
you might recognize the song, because I'm gonna bring up the song in a little bit. That he has, like one of his most famous songs. So Harry Belafonte was actually the driving force for why they did this. So for those people who don't know who Harry Belafonte is, he was a singer. He has passed away. But not only was he a singer, which I didn't know this, he was a statesman in the civil rights movement. I never knew that. So his biggest thing that he wanted to draw attention to was the poverty in Africa. That was very important to him.
That's good man.
So along with Harry Belafonte, the other thing that was maybe the groundwork for them in the song was the Band-Aid Christmas song, which, if you know, it's "Do They Know It Christmas Time at All," which I had mentioned in the Christmas episode was one of my favorite songs. One of my favorite Christmas songs. So that was kind of their groundwork. The difference with Band-Aid was that it was mainly white people singing for white people to, help those who are less fortunate. Right. Not to shit on it, because, we had people like George Michael on there, who I love. We had Sting. Boy George, I think, was in there too. So it was an important song to have. But I think what they really wanted to do with this particular song was have not only white people, but in particular Black people, singing to help Black people in need in other countries. That was very important to them with the song. So the other thing too, we're going to talk a little bit about like when they did it and the insanity. The things that artists have to do it's nuts to me. So they're going to do this, right? Lionel wants Quincy Jones involved as well, which, again, if you don't know who Quincy Jones is, please tell me you know who Quincy Jones is. I'm going to lose it.
Yes, I do know who Quincy
Thank God. Thank God. Quincy Jones is one of the greatest producers of his time.
Yeah.
He's incredible.
Yeah.
He's still alive. Let's protect him by all means, please. He's still going, but obviously retired.
Awesome. Yeah.
So, as mentioned,
his samples are good. He's getting sampled by other artists, obviously.
Oh, of course. Yeah, it's impossible not to, honestly. So with this, with including Quincy, that's kind of where MJ got involved, Michael Jackson got involved, because obviously Quincy was working closely with Michael Jackson at the time. He did produce his first 3 solo albums, so he was very much involved with him. And then that's kind of where Stevie was coming in as well. It's going to be roped in, although Stevie wasn't there to write the song. But anyways, they kind of mention, obviously, with Lionel obviously being a part of Motown, Michael being a part of Motown, Stevie being a part of Motown, everybody knows everybody. They have literally grown up with each other. Everybody. And a lot of the artists who are involved in this, and I'll talk about it too, all grew up with each other if they were a part of Motown. And we do have a few people from Motown involved in this. Some of the people, kind of like the process of who they were going to bring in, they I mean, I'm bringing Kenny Loggins because I love Kenny Loggins. I know he's not black, but leave me alone. Kenny Loggins. I know you're not going to know who Kenny Loggins is. So Kenny Loggins sang Footloose. He sang the theme for Footloose movie. He also did Highway to the Danger Zone for Top Gun. And
I know the song. Yeah, I know
of course,
the song.
there you
Like
go.
I said, I know the song. I just don't know the artist behind it.
Yeah.
So
He also does another one of my favorite Christmas songs, "Celebrate Me Home," which I love. You can sing that song. You can play that song any time of year. It's a great song. So yeah, we have him. Tina Turner was a part of it. Diana Ross. So they have decided, because they're trying to figure out, okay, we have a lot of, and I'm only going to be, I might talk about like who is on there, but we might not have a whole lot of time to talk about each artist, but we'll leave it here. I'm only talking about a few people who were on there. This list of artists who were a part of this, it's insanity. And the biggest thing was trying to figure out when to do the recording and how that's going to work with each person's schedule.
Yeah,
right.
These artists were probably like busy, probably rescheduled for the other day. For example,
Bruce Springsteen, who was on the show on the recording, he was touring at the time. He literally was he in Boston? I think he was in Boston, did a concert in Boston, and then literally had to fly from Boston to LA, and there was a snowstorm happening too. I don't even know how the hell he got there.
Wow.
Like, that's kind of just the idea.
It was probably like, damn golly, we're gonna make it to that studio.
Yeah. But what seemed to work was that the American Music Awards in 1985 was happening in Los Angeles. Lionel Richie was actually hosting the AMAs that year. So he's like, a lot of the artists that we're trying to get on this are going to be at the AMAs. So why not try to record after the AMAs? Because everyone's already in town. That's what they ended up doing. They do the AMAs for like 2-3 hours, whatever. Actually, Michael Jackson was not at the AMAs that year. He was actually the first to arrive at the studio, and he's just sitting there waiting for people to show up. And the others, literally after the AMAs, go from there to the studio. And let me just preface this. I mentioned this at the end. They were recording for like 7 hours. And it started at like 11 o'clock at night. 11:30 at night. And they were going way into the early mornings of the day.
Isn't that like way under an average artist that, wants to perfect a record and, put it out on the radio station. Mostly,
right. But they were also still in the middle of composing it at the same time. They had lyrics, but they had to still compose it. Like they had an idea of what the sound was going to be. Literally, I kid you not, they were literally still composing the song while they're recording the song.
I mean, we can go through the artists. This is, it's like,
I might at the end.
Yeah, okay. All right, go ahead.
So yeah, they were still doing that. That's why it was lasting for so long. You had obviously artists, like you said, have their opinions as to how the song should sound. Here comes Stevie Wonder late in the game being like, let's add some Swahili into the songs. And I'm like, sir. But what they ended up saying is, we're trying to speak to the people of America to help those people in Africa. We're not going to add Swahili into the mix. And actually, I think their goal was actually to be helping people in Ethiopia. In Ethiopia, Swahili is not a language in Ethiopia. So it wouldn't have made any sense anyways to have the Swahili in there. think Michael also had a different idea to add something in there, and Smokey Problems was like, no. We had a lot of different people with their ideas in this. And again,
Right.
to add to what you're saying, yes, you have people who are perfectionists. Michael Jackson alone was a huge perfectionist when it came to his music.
Prince too?
Prince wasn't in there.
Oh, was it?
Prince was not a part of it. Sheila E. was. But Prince was not.
Swore I saw a
Nope. They were trying to get Prince on there. And I actually thought for a second, wait a minute, was Prince in there and I just missed this? No, Prince never. Prince, as they mentioned, had walked to the beat of his own drum. He did his own thing. He could never be told what to do or where to be.
I mean,
Prince was at the AMAs, but he was not at the recording. Here's a thing that happened that I actually think was really gross, but I want to bring it up here. They brought, and no, you're not gonna know who Sheila E. is, but whatever. Sheila E., who was a huge person, a part of Prince. Like, she did a lot with Prince. She was actually in Purple Rain, the movie. So she was. You didn't see Prince without Sheila E. and vice versa back in the day. So Sheila E., she was invited to be a part of this. They actually offered her a solo, but they basically did that to try to get her to get Prince there. They wanted Prince there, and they wanted him there badly.
Interesting.
But Prince never showed up. Sheila E. never got her solo. She ended up leaving. She stayed long enough. You see her. She's in the main group of everybody in the video, but she ended up leaving. At one point, she's like, "I'm being used," and she left, which is really gross. If you wanted Prince there, ask Prince to be there, but Prince wasn't there. So, and again, like, if you think about it this way too, like, if you don't actually think about, Prince and Michael had a little bit of a rivalry between the two of them. Not like a major rivalry, but their music rivaled each other.
True.
As well.
True.
Yeah.
If they were both in the studio, they'd be like, they'd be bumping heads.
Because they literally say in the AMAs, like when they were kind of showing clips of the AMAs, they literally said any category that both Prince and Michael were in, it was always between the two of them. The others never stood a fucking chance. It was always between Prince and Michael. And that's kind of like even today, when you see like Taylor Swift or somebody else that's hugely popular in a category together, chances are Taylor's winning. Not even the other person. Taylor's winning. But that's kind of the same thing. So
go ahead.
Go ahead. You have something to say?
No. A little bit later after you name the names, I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay. So yeah, they do this. Prince wasn't there, unfortunately. I think it wasn't great, but who cares? Okay, so yeah, so Lionel. I mean, Lionel was doing the most that day. Okay. Again, I'm talking about Lionel Richie. Please tell me you know who Lionel Richie is.
Yeah, I know who Lionel Richie is. That name was like thrown around like all the time in the 90s and
80s, 90s, even now.
Early 2000s as well too.
If you don't know who Lionel Richie is, then I advise watching American Idol so you can at least know what the man looks like. Anyways, Lionel Richie.
Yep.
He was doing the most. He hosted the AMAs. He performed, I think, twice or three times at the AMAs, and then still had to go and record this freaking song that night. Like, incredible. These people are nuts. Anyways, so other people that we had here, Smokey Robinson, Ray Charles, and as I mentioned, Diana Ross. So we had like those people. I did mention Sheila E. already, so I won't talk more about her. We had, I am going to name some white people because I love these people. Bette Midler, was on this. I did not know that. I'm not surprised if you don't know who Bette Miller is.
No.
Bette Miller. Okay. Bette Miller. Wind Beneath My Wings. You are the wind beneath. No?
Possibly, yeah. Possibly.
Have you watched Hocus Pocus before?
Yeah. I did.
Okay, she's one of the Sanderson sisters.
Oh, okay.
She's the main one. She's Winifred.
Interesting. Okay. Right.
Mm-hmm. She's an actress. She's an actress, singer as well, but she's mainly known for her acting. So she was there. Dionne Warwick, everybody. Do you know who Dionne Warwick is? Of course you don't. Oh my god. She's Whitney Houston's aunt. You don't know who she is?
Okay.
Do you know the way to San Jose? No?
Nah. I don't know the song.
I can't. I can't. So to talk about the Swahili thing, so we'll talk about that. Now, I'm going to bring up, because you said you didn't know who Harry Belafonte is, so I'm going to bring this up. Do you know, in the middle of them recording, because they had been recording something for hours, everyone's tired, and I guess the way they decided to break the ice a little bit is they broke out in Harry Belafonte's song, Deo, Mr. Deo. Daylight come and me wanna go home.
Yeah.
Do you know the song, right?
Yeah, I know the song.
Thank God. So that's Harry Belafonte. Again, this is also, they play the song in Beetlejuice as well. Okay. So they broke out on that, and it kind of just helped with the mood. So I thought that was fun. And I was like singing along with them, doing like, Daylight go. Okay. So it was fun. So, like I said, roughly took 7.5 hours to record the song. It aired for, for the first time in about 3 months later after they did the thing. So, and once it aired, it was huge. Had the effect, the impact they wanted it to.
Yep.
So now we're kind of at the end of the doc, and I wanted to kind of say some of the writing that they had at the end. So following its release of We Are the World, it achieved significant recognition, winning Record of the Year and Song of the Year at the 1986 Grammys. And it also won a special award as well at the AMAs. Since the release, We Are the World has raised over $80 million, which is the equivalent to approximately $160 million in 2024 for humanitarian causes in Africa, and it continues to raise money to this day. So they did do kind of in memory to the following people. So in loving memory to the following people: Harry Belafonte, Michael Jackson, Ken Cragen, don't know who, I think he actually was involved in the behind the scenes of the song, Ray Charles, James Ingram, Al Jarreau, he had some issues, Anita Pointer, Jane Pointer, which is the Pointer sisters, Kenny Rogers, who we just lost a couple years ago, and Tina Turner, who we recently lost as well. So I wanted to point those people out. So yes, Mikel wants me to list all the people who were on this thing. So bear with me.
You can listen together. You can listen together. Okay, so.
We can listen. Well,
let's go faster.
Are you going based on the
So I have the US Today's article.
Oh, did I get a list? I may not have gotten the list. I think I got the list of Motown people.
Hold on, I'll give you the website right now.
Okay.
But yeah, after we do the whole entire list, damn it, I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
So, Just give me a second here. All right, so I'll go first. Lionel Richie,
Stevie Wonder,
Paul Simon,
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 Kenny Rogers,
James Ingram,
Tina Turner,
Billy. Is it Joel?
Joel.
Okay.
Yeah, drive me nuts. Sorry, my boss's name is Joel, though. I get that all the time. Anyway, Michael Jackson,
Diana Ross, Dionne
Warwick.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Dionne Warwick,
Willie Nelson,
Al Jarreau,
Bruce Springsteen,
Kenny Loggins,
Steve Perry,
Darrell Hall,
Huey
Notes,
Lewis.
y'all. Okay,
Huey
go ahead.
Lewis,
Cyndi Lauper.
Kim. Is it
I think it's Carnes.
Carnes? All right.
Yeah, I think so. Bob Dylan.
And Ray Charles.
Okay, and I feel like that's not even all of them because I mentioned Bette Midler is in there. I think some LaToya Jackson was in there. I saw her and I'm like, I know who you are. And LaToya Jackson was in there. I think a lot of the Jacksons were on there. But anyways, that's
Jackie Jackson, LaToya Jackson, Janet Jackson, Andy Jackson, Tito Jackson.
Basically everybody.
Yeah.
Everyone was on there.
Yeah. Jeffrey Osborne. Okay.
So what's your question before we move on to Thriller?
Oh, okay. So in today's day, who are the artists would you like to do a redo of a song? Like, who are the artists today?
I don't like when artists redo songs, so that's a wrong question for me to be answering. I don't like when artists redo songs.
Like, who are the batch of artists you would pick in the studio to just do like a part 2 or
But like I said, that's hard for me because I don't particularly like when artists do that. I know it can be a form of appreciation to that artist, but for me it feels lazy. So I don't really like there's a song right now that's been redone by a country artist that I think is like, no, like it's Fast Car, and I'm like, no, well, why? And so I don't particularly like when artists do that.
True.
So that's a hard one for me.
You don't want to pick.
No,
pick out
because I wouldn't want that.
Let me see. Okay, I'll do it. All right.
Okay.
I'll do it. I don't know. Like, is there like 10 artists? Okay, 10 artists. Okay, so we go from Beyonce, Taylor Swift, Mariah Carey, I would go with Zaya. You know who Zaya is, right?
No.
SCA.
Oh, is that? Oh no, that's you're saying it wrong. It's
Yeah, Zaya.
It's
whatever her name.
I can't remember how to say her name now, but yeah, I can't remember now. But anyways.
Yeah. Justin Bieber.
Bieber.
Yeah, Bieber. Usher. I think Usher will be in there. So that's
okay. So
go ahead.
So just to quickly go through some of the stuff here. As we know, as I mentioned earlier, Off the Wall was Mikel's first solo album, which he had done with Quincy Jones. It unfortunately didn't do very good at the Grammy Awards. I don't think it won a single award, or if it did, I think it won one Grammy Award, which was actually for R&B. And as I've mentioned, he's a perfectionist. He did not like that very much.
Didn't like them.
Michael Jackson. Yeah. He wanted to strive, this kind of propelled him to make his next album the greatest album of all time. And that is what happened. So you had songs like The Girl Is Mine, which was done with Paul McCartney. which kind of helped him kind of cross over from being an R&B artist to a pop artist. Because that was his goal. He wanted to become a pop artist, not just an R&B artist. So that's kind of helped him. Fun fact, in Wannabe Started Something, when they say at the end, Mama say, Mama sana makusa, it doesn't mean anything. Y'all, it doesn't have a meaning. Michael Jackson literally says it doesn't mean anything. It's just a fun thing. That's it. Because me, I'm like, what does that mean? Doesn't mean anything. So that's a fun fact. Also a fun fact with Wanna Be Starting Something, which is one of my favorite songs from the album. Actually, I don't even know if I have a favorite song from the album. I love them all. He actually hates that song. He did not want to have that song on the album. He thought it wouldn't do well. And it did. Anyway. So yeah, Billie Jean. We had different artists on here, kind of like Mary J. Blige. We had Usher, and Usher knew Michael, so kind of like talking about some of these songs, right? And what was actually very interesting with Billie Jean, when they were talking about Billie Jean, was Usher kind of saying, this is a toxic R&B song. Everyone loves a toxic R&B song. And I said, that's really funny coming from you, Usher, because he's right. Think about it. We love Confessions Part 2. And that was a toxic R&B song. So he's right. Yeah. And with Billie Jean, this technically was a toxic R&B song because it's a guy saying, that girl's trying to tell me that kid's mine. It's mine. It's great. It's great. And fun fact with Billie Jean, that actually is a true story. He had a fan write to him and say to him, I have this baby and it's yours. And he's like, I don't even know who the hell you are. So it's a true story that actually happened.
Interesting.
Yeah. So with this, they kind of talk about the video a little bit and how like they had the budget to only light up like 11 different tiles in the video. Like if you've seen the video, you know what I'm talking about. And it was the first of its kind, this particular video, because you have this person directing the video and you have Michael just kind of standing in one spot for some of it, just dancing, just doing all kinds of different things. And if you notice in the video, a lot of it is focused on his face and not his feet, because they weren't used to capturing someone dancing like that and capturing that in a video. So it was kind of the first of its time where you kind of have to make sure you're capturing everything. And also, it was the first of it kind of telling the story. I think it was the first one he shot. So it was also him telling a story. If you've watched the video, it's basically a photographer like following him around trying to get a picture of him. And him dodging the photographer. So it was the first of its time, and it was great. And since we're on the topic of Billie Jean, I'm going to get this one over with. When he performed Billie Jean for the very first time, was at Motown 25th anniversary concert, Michael Jackson only agreed to do Motown 25 if he was able to perform one of his own songs. Berry Gordy didn't want to do that. He's like, no, this is supposed to be a Motown celebration. Your solo stuff isn't a part of Motown. I don't want to do that. But the way to get Michael to do it was for him to have this moment. And he did. He was able to have it. If you haven't watched this performance of Motown 25, his first performance of Billie Jean, stop what you're doing and watch it. It is incredible. It is amazing. It was the very first time he moonwalked. And ever since then, Michael Jackson was never able to perform Billie Jean any differently. he always performed it the same way because that is what his fans wanted. He wished he could have performed it differently, but he never could have because that's what the fans expected. So it was an incredible performance, and people who were there was one person who was a part of the doc who was there in the actual room when he performed, and he said, "You'd have no idea the atmosphere in that place. You get glimpses." He said it was pandemonium in the place. He says, "I felt bad for the person who had to follow his act." And the producer asked him who came after him. And he's like, "I don't know. They don't know who came after Michael Jackson." Michael Jackson stole the show with his performance. Of course he did. So, Beat It. We'll talk quickly about Beat It. Beat It was a song too where he was trying to blur those racial lines. And for this particular song, because they were trying to get him on MTV, and they could not get him on MTV because MTV said, "We only play rock and roll music," and Michael Jackson's not a rock and roll artist. What they meant to say, they don't play white rock and roll music. I'm sorry, they don't play black rock and roll music, because I said to myself, I'm like, Prince technically can be part of rock. He's funk, but he can be definitely part of rock. Y'all didn't play Prince, so that's kind of what they got to.
Yeah, he's light skinned, so
it doesn't matter. He's still black. But it says, like, watching this, what was incredible is that you had white artists who were being played on MTV saying, "Why don't you play black people on MTV?" David Bowie literally was asking a MTV rep, "Why don't you play black people on your network?" And they have to like come up with some fucking excuse in the moment. It got to the point where I can't remember who exactly this person is, but whoever was representing Michael, who's also representing other artists, was like, "I'm going to pull these other artists from MTV if you will not put Michael on MTV." So
what year was this?
This would have been like 84.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Racist.
Absolutely. Still happening.
Issues in it. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So what they ended up doing with Beat It was, we're gonna make this a rock song, and Michael said, "I want someone who can kind of appeal to white teenage boys who love rock and roll." So that's where they ended up getting Eddie Van Halen, who was from Van Halen. And he
didn't they have Queens?
No. I'm gonna tell you right now, most likely not, because Freddie Mercury they were doing their own thing too. And then also take into effect that Freddie Mercury would soon be diagnosed with AIDS at around that time. He had AIDS for a long time before he passed away, and he passed away in 91. So no.
Rolling Stone didn't.
No, let me finish. Let me continue.
Yeah, go ahead.
They had Eddie Van Halen, who was a part of Van Halen. He did the single, the solo, the guitar solo in Beat It. And that was meant to appeal. And eventually, I think that song did kind of help him propel onto MTV. And again, no black artist before him was ever on MTV. Now, what I think you're trying to maybe figure out here is Guns N' Roses, Slash from Guns N' Roses. He would be a part of some of Michael's music. And he would, during performances, perform the rock solo from Beat It as well. But he was not the original person. It was Eddie Van Halen who did the original. And then let's move on to Thriller. With Thriller, he wanted to make this huge. He wanted to do this video, and he was dying down. Let me put this into perspective. He did the video for Thriller 2 years after the release of the Thriller album. So he wanted to kind of do something to kind of propel it back up. And he decided to do the Thriller video. Now, the record label did not want to pay for the video, because the video would have cost about, I think, $1 million, when normally videos only cost $50,000. So somehow they were able to get that figured out, and get him to do it. But they wanted to have this kind of cat and mouse kind of feel to it, which is exactly what it was with the actress Ola Ray, who was in the video. They had that kind of cat and mouse thing, which again was the first of its kind, because Mikel would continue doing this kind of cat and mouse thing in some of his videos. The Way You Make Me Feel is one of them. You Rock My World is another one. He would continue doing that. So he did that. And he wanted to have it be scary. He wanted that. And he ended up bringing on the director of a werewolf movie that I've never heard of before. But I know who the director is, because he would continue on to do more of his videos. John Landis. He directed the Thriller video. And they kind of talk about all of that different. And again, if you want to watch the documentary, I don't want to give everything away, definitely watch it. It was really good. So they do talk about that. And with that, this was a huge event. Children would take time off of school in order to watch the premiere of this video. They premiered it on MTV. It was huge. And they ultimately, because they would actually, they made it like a movie, so that you could actually get VHSs of the Thriller video, which is just under 20 minutes long. And they sold 100 million copies of Thriller, the video. Like, wow. Insane. So just kind of coming back to kind of more present, I did mention we would talk about how he got a hold of his masters. So while he was doing Thriller, Steven Spielberg, you ever heard of him? Yes. was actually in the middle of directing a little movie called E.T. So he actually, which I didn't know this, he actually wanted to have Quincy Jones work with him on doing a soundtrack for E.T. And with Quincy working with Mikel, he wanted to have Mikel involved in that as well. So they did this whole thing. They released the stuff and everything. Problem is that no one talked to the record label that Mikel was part of if this was okay for him to do. Eventually they made them pull the record off the shelves. And Mikel was pissed. He was really pissed. And which was funny, because the guy who ended up making that decision to pull it, he's like, "Is Mikel mad at me?" And I'm like, "Of course he's fucking mad at you. What the hell? Like, you pulled work that he just did, like, of course." And he's like, "Well, what can I do to make it up to him?" And he's like, "I don't know. You figure it out." And he's like, "Does he want his masters? I'll give him his masters." That's how Michael Jackson got a hold of his masters.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So,
he didn't use any money or purchase it,
nope.
Or
They gave it to him. No, Mikel would use his money to buy other people's masters. We won't get into it.
Yeah.
Did you know he actually owned Eminem's masters?
I think that's a rumor.
No, I don't think it's a rumor. I just heard about it now. Like, I'd never heard about it before. I just heard about it now. I don't know if it's true, but he definitely owned the Beatles masters. He owned the Beatles and Elvis Presley.
Yes, he does. But the Eminem masters, I think, because I heard about that. Eminem made like some type of diss track, and then
yeah, he did.
And then Mikel just bought it. I don't think
I don't know
that happened. Nah. But yeah, he owns the owns the rights to the Beatles. Yeah, go ahead.
Mikel would go to this be huge on TikTok today. His music has actually been available on TikTok since August of 2020. 10 million videos featuring him are available on TikTok. And of that, even more millions have actually done reactions and stuff like that to certain things. Like, he's popping on TikTok. So basically this is kind of introducing him into the new generation of people who maybe have never heard of Mikel or even like heard his music or seen his music videos, because everything that we have, like I said earlier, that we have today is because of him. So yeah, that's basically it for that. Like, just kind of the quick version. Again, if you want to watch the documentary, that was really well done, you can watch it on Paramount.
So there is a little bit of a note that I have here. Like, this was just a day ago. An article came out a day ago that Sony recently bought stake in Michael Jackson's catalog.
I'm not surprised at all by that. I'm not surprised by all. Mikel has had a lot of issues in his life, and where Sony is concerned, he's gone head to head with them when he was live. So I'm not even surprised by that. I'm actually really upset about that, because that's not what he would have wanted.
For the value of the rights were 1.2 billion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just to close off, I wanted to talk very quickly about Cindy Portier, who is an actor. So he was born on February 20th, 1927, and he died on January 6th, 2022, so very recently. He was a Bahamian and American actor, film director, and diplomat. In 1964, he was the first Black actor and first Bahamian to win the American Award for Best Actor. He received 2 competitive Golden Globe Awards, a BAFTA Award, and a Grammy Award, as well as nominations for 2 Emmy Awards and a Tony Award. So, like, he's the full thing. He's gotten every single award. In 1999, he ranked among one of the American Film Institute's 100 stars. Portier was one of the last surviving stars from the golden age of Hollywood cinema. So he's had movies like Lilies of the Field, A Raisin in the Sun, The Jackal, The Defiant Ones, They Call Me Mr. Tibbs, No Way Out, A Patch of Blue. He's had many movies, and he was actually married to a white woman in a time where that wasn't heard of. But anyway.
Yes.
That's it.
Okay,
I'm done.
All right. Whew. Tanyka, you carried the whole entire episode.
I think I did.
Is your back hurting?
Yeah, actually.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, pretty good episode.
Yeah.
About Black artists in general. So we did, what do we do? So
a lot. Let's not try to name it all. We did a lot.
Yeah, so Black artists in general. Just say Black artists in general.
Yeah.
So this ends episode 21 of the Next Tape Podcast. The Next Tape Podcast is available now on all podcast platforms. We also have a website called solo.to/Next Tape Podcast. What else are we on? Tanyka?
We also have Facebook and Instagram at Next Take Podcast, and Twitter and X at Next Take Pod.
Okay. And we also have a email. You can email us at mikeltanyka@gmail.com.
So we got off there. Just going to finish this up on my own. But yes, for next week, we are going to be talking about the Black Lives Matter movement. So that's what we're going to be talking about. That's what we're ending off our Black History Month special episodes. So that's it. Until next week. Bye.